In this video, we will discuss the difference between the Addendum C.A.R form ADM and the amendment C.A.R form AEA, because an astute viewer on this YouTube channel brought up that there is a distinction worth mentioning, and so I want to expand on this topic further. It's worth bringing up. Now, let me ask you a question. If you're mid-escrow or if you're deep into escrow and you need to make a change, it could be the sales price, it could be a seller credit, it could be that the buyer's asking for the seller to leave behind certain personal property, just any random term that you're adding deep in an escrow. Which form would you use? Would you use the addendum or amendment? Well, if you said addendum, I believe you. If you said amendment, I wouldn't. And the reason is that we never see this form used. And when I say we, I'm talking about we in my office. And that includes myself and the two in-house transaction coordinators that look at hundreds of files every year. Hundreds. We have hundreds of closings every year, have for many, many years. Now, have I seen it before? Yes, but it's extremely rare. Extremely rare. Now, the addendum has become this catch-all form where you have just blank space, and anytime anyone wants to make a change, they just whip up an addendum. Now, addendum, of course, should be an add-on. It should be whatever text didn't fit on that form, you're adding on to the agreement. It shouldn't be changing, because amending is changing. So let's just look real quick at the difference. So these terms are incorporated and made part of, by default, purchase agreement, or you can check a box. But you can leave it a purchase agreement and put in, of course, the street name and names of the parties. And then you're putting in these terms that weren't already listed. You're just adding on terms. Now, if you're adding on terms that already exist, I mean, those can be conflicting terms. So there's a little bit of ambiguity. But for the most part, everyone knows, hey, if you have an addendum with conflicting terms, but it's dated later than, let's say, the original purchase agreement, you're just kind of updating it. And that's just how the industry works. It's not up to me. This video is not going to change anything. I'm just telling you the state of the business. If you're new, this is what everyone uses, for better, for worse. I'm just telling it like it is. If you're experienced, I'm telling you something that is, maybe something that you've automated in your thinking. I want you to take a step back and think about why you use the form you're using. But this is what everyone uses, myself included. I'm guilty of this. Everyone uses this form. Now, the amendment is listed as a proposal to amend, meaning change a pre-existing term in the purchase agreement or whatever else you designate as the agreement you're changing. And you put the date of that agreement, address, names of the parties. Now, what are you proposing to change? The sales price, the close of escrow date, the amount of the seller credit, the amount of whatever negotiated for purchase of personal property. Whatever you want to change gets put in here. And there's even an expiration, like you're making an offer or a counteroffer. So the party making the proposal signs it, and the other party has to accept. And then when it's accepted, just like a counteroffer, it's then incorporated into the agreement. So the difference is, of course the addendum doesn't have that proposal provision in it, right? But people treat it like that because all the time I see an agent write a proposed term, then they sign it. Let's say the buyer's proposing that the seller gives them a credit, right? Let's say it came up like 3 weeks in escrow. They need a credit because for a finance-related issue. Let's say the buyer writes a credit in here, signs, they send it to the seller. Well, the seller chooses to sign it or they don't. They don't sign it. So that it's treated like a proposal in just like this more analog form where someone sends terms on an addendum. Ideally, you should hash this out. Agents should hash this out before addendums are sent. It should be hashed out verbally on a phone call or through email so that someone knows what to expect from the other agent. But those terms are just written by one party, and if the other party accepts them, they sign. The difference is the amendment is a more formal proposal because it shows proposal and it has an expiration and acceptance. So that's it. This form is used all the time in summary, but an amendment should be the appropriate form if you are proposing changes, not updating terms, which is how this is used. Anyway, I hope I haven't belabored this point too much, but I think you get it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.